Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? My rights continue to be violated, continuing to emphasize my property is never allowed to be distributed in the United States of America, nor used for the benefit of the American economy in any way, shape, or form. Again, my property continues to be stolen, my health continues to be destroyed, and the overall quality of my life literally absolutely remains at zero. No one cares. Moving on with our derivation. Again, going to arrive at a unique linguistic result, a definite chronology, a sufficient differentiation of it is what it is, that is, what is a sensor. Some amount of syllability, letters associated to sound will be consistent, will contain sensorality, and we will produce linguistic context. Literally words, literally a sentence, literally a question that elicits this conceptualization of what a sensor is, and it will directly show the linguistic iteration, the direct iteration defining sensorality. So we continue on. What is suggestion to digestion? What is deposition to deputy? Sensorality deputizes, direct iteration. And again, this syllability, sensorality, some form of this word family will literally be the stabilization. This is that, and then the letters will pair up, and it will be common denominators, common syllability of words. Sensorality is deputality, natural definition, direct iteration. And again, all of these prefixes, and well, pretty much the prefixes, the suffix that we're working with is ality, which is total generality. But the prefixes, again, are preserving and showing this chronology of chirality, of inversion linguistically. And so last time, again, we had our title, iambic pentameter, emphasizing this reduction to quintessentiality, 5 essential syllables. It is what it is in the most general. But we also had this other elicitation. Again, language is general. We're all people, part of culture. And when you're forming your identity, you say, who am I? And so if somebody's talking in general and you said the phrase who, me, I am, right, you produce this fundamental identity. The difference between E and A is I. Who, me, I am. And so in that same type of way, again, we have that structure, that syllability in iambic. Just pointing that out. Is ambicality ambient? Sensorality is ambientality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is postulation to stipulation? Are tools technological? What is technology? Are sensors technological? Is technology technical? Are sensors tools? Sensorality is tool ability. Sensorality is technicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is technicality to mechanicality? Or excuse me, mechanicality. Just ality on mechanic. Are tools mechanical? Again, this big ontological physical progression of mechanics. Why is mechanics called mechanics? Again, charge, we still have this kind of like what is charge kind of sitting there, but it's all contained within what is called mechanics logically. And again, we've already iterated the entire physical logical structure that exists. Speciality is special with an ITY, a direct chronological linguistic result from this analysis process. Literally the first step of this derivation. Sensorality is mechanisticality, right? Mechanical, mechanistic, mechanism. Sensorality is a mechanism. Are machines mechanisms? Are machines tools? Are tools machines? What is pooling to tooling? Is ambient lukewarm? Are leans ambient? Direct iteration. Sensorality is poetic. Sensorality is poeticality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is poeticality to ethicality? Is censorship ethical? What is morality to mortality? Sensorality is mortal. Sensorality is mortality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is mortality to lethality? Is metal mortal? Is mortality essential? Is immortality essential? Are consequences essential? Direct iteration. What is sequentiality to essentiality? Sensorality is sardonicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. This is worth pointing out. This is one of these word forms that naturally produces in my derivation process. I don't know what the word means, but it just feels fundamentally ontological. Don't know how else to put it, but again, it literally just arises and it's like very clear. I will say the word sardonic, again, just kind of like in my head, and it's just like I have no idea what this word means, but it's like the next step. So I did Google this one. I actually kind of even forget what it means, but just like belittling, I think, or just, we'll see what I have it paired to, right? I have it paired to sarcasm. Is sarcasm sardonic? Sensorality is sarcasticality. Is sarcasm drastic? Is sarcasm dramatic? Realizing is finalizing. Natural definition. Is final complete? Is complete final? What is finality to chirality? What is power to pressure? In power, energy, velocity, power changes movement potential. What is powderization to pressurization? Sensorality is pressurizationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is pressurization to prioritization? What is pressurization to vibration? Again, trying to contain movement produces a vibration, that pushing that mass per unit surface area, that force per unit surface area is produced by attempting to limit motion. Again, you go into a crowded room, you go into a concert, and you're in the big middle of the crowd, you can't really get out, right? Our galaxy, our locality, our star, whatever spherical locality you're in is bounded by other things. The magnetic field that applies pressure by the natural occurrence of limitation of motion. What is pressurization to sensation? Right, I feel a pressure. Pressure pulverizes, pressure powderizes. Sensorality is powderizationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is mist powder? Sensorality mystifies, emphasizing the progression mist, the light, small air particles floating or suspended in the atmosphere, and then mystic, the Y, the IY iteration, right? Rhythmicality. Sensorality mystifies, is mist mystic, is mystic mythic. Sensorality is mythicality. Sensorality is mathicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is math to myth? Sensorality is legendary. What is segmentation to legend? Is agentic legendary? Direct iteration. What is segmentation to vibration? Sensorality is insinceritality. What is sincerity to ingenuity? Sensorality is sincere. Is sincere theme? Direct iteration. Is fraudulence sincere? Fraud is disingenuous. Is sanctimonious sardonic? Are sardines sardonic? Direct iteration. Is monotony sardonic? What is sardonicality to platonicality? Another one of these words, again, Plato, again, Platonic. It's a clear base of a name, but names throughout history carry logic because Platonic feels very, right, we have a strictly Platonic relationship. So that kind of definition, but it feels very fundamental ontologically, meaning the syllability, the letters associated to sound. Sensorality smells like sex. What is sexuality to sensitivity? What is diffraction to fractalization? What is fractalization to realization? What is discreteness to fractalization? Sensorality is a real sense. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, the consensus, the sentiment usage of, right, you'll get a real sense of this there. You'll get a real sense. Just anytime someone says the natural syllability, a real sense. What is fraud to philanthropy? Sensorality is philanthropicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is philanthropic entropic? Direct iteration. What is vibration to entropy? Is vibration disorder? What is power to entropy? Is power pleasant? Again, what is a change in movement potential to disorder? Right? What is change to disorder? What is change to entropy? Again, movement is not 100% efficient. That movement potential, well, again, really the chronology is things are moving. And then we have implied this thing, energy, movement potential. But I was going to say, again, the conversion from movement potential into movement, but things are already moving. Energy is the logical implication. And so what is the change in movement potential to disorder? Again, the disorder, the entropy, is this inefficiency of movement. Nothing is 100% converted from potential to actuality. Is power pleasant? Appreciation is pleasant. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is pleasantality. Sensorality is plantationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is plantation to vibration? What is planting to growing? Is growth aftermath? Are north and south ordinal? Again, north, south, east, west are directions. One pair of those, again, the opposites have ordinality, or again, this TH relationship. Just pointing that out, moving along. What is ordinality to decimality? Sensorality is decimality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Does decimation pulverize? Does decimation powderize? Tiny is puny. Natural definition. Sensorality is puny. Sensorality is impunity. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is impunity to impurity? What is impurity to infidelity? Is invincibility impurity? Sensorality impairs. Sensorality is impairmentality. What is impairment to impedance? Impedance is interference. What is filtration to interference? Emphasizing the F. Sensorality filters interference. Direct iteration. Remember, from F algorithm to logarithm. Again, FG. We're getting to some complete, direct, comprehensive, generalized iteration of language. Is impairment impatient? Sensorality complains about impatience. Direct iteration. What is impatience to impotence? Impatience impedes. Do implosions exist? Again, another direct question we've hit multiple times, just the logical association. An explosion, you'll say you break the bonds between two atoms, which again makes sense. Our object here that is in motion, not in motion relevant to me, but the mass times velocity has no momentum. So when you break that and it goes external, right, that's an explosion. But what is an implosion? Do they exist? Again, the answer is no. But what is exothermic to endothermic? What is endothermicality to exothermicality? Because then they'll say the energy is absorbed by the bond. The movement potential, again, just pointing it out, our definitions are well defined. And right now we're at what is power. But again, it's just this complete logical differentiation, this fundamental differentiation. We get completely through all of the physical definitions, which we've already done. I can't emphasize that enough. Sensorality is thermicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is internal to external? What is an object to a system? What is a system to a boundary? What is a system to a particle? Is a particle an object? Are systems conditional? Is diction conditional? Is conditional conventional? Is censorship conditional? What is protection to censorship? What is protection to sensation? Sensorality protects sensation. Direct iteration. What is filtration to protection? What is protection to detection? What is detection to sensation? Discretion avoids detection. Direct iteration. Discretion is discrete. Natural definition. But again, I have this emphasized and I have this spelled as D-I-S-C-R-E-T-E, not discrete like D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T. We'll put that on the screen just to have it. Again, we're just getting to this finalized thing. None of these steps, you don't have to remember some nuance or anything. Again, this is just the overall process of me getting to this final result. There seems to be continuity, and there's a lot of more derivation than this. These are like the poignant steps. I would say everything else that isn't presented is like trivial, but there's a lot of it in terms of like shapes and kind of more, it's just letter iterations. But yeah, again, just emphasize no one step really matters. There's a lot less continuity than there seems. Again, each one of these steps, each sensorality is effectively a new, novel, independent step. It's just when I sit down and do a bunch of them in a row and you get used to watching these videos, it looks like this step has to come after this step, or this step has to come after that step. The overall order is in order, but there's just a lot more proliferation around kind of one set of realization because you can solve the whole linguistic set. All of this word, all of this base word related to that base word, you get the whole thing at once, and then you kind of just structure it. So again, there's cadence, and it's not just one monotonous thing of listing syllables. Just pointing that out. Sensorality opens conversation. Direct iteration. Because again, now we have this overarching, very well articulated, simple conceptual physical statement. There are no closed systems. Are the atoms of this notebook moving? Yes. Would I say this coarse grain object, this notebook, is moving? No. But now what was I saying? But just, again, there are no closed systems. So how does that momentum of this internal structure apply to the outside? Well, again, it has temperature, it radiates, it's sitting there vibrating. This thing is not still, even as the individual particles move in relation to one another, it's still moving, kind of. Again, because vibration is a definition, mathematically and logically, no movement. But everything empirically, physically is moving. And so that's just a fundamental dichotomy. When you try to limit motion, you get a vibration. When you try to maximize motion, you form a rhythm. When you try to minimize inefficiency, you form a rhythm. The direct mental headspace you form is less steps. And so how is the momentum, or how is this system open? What does that mean? How is my notebook interacting with the other things around it? It's touching my hand. I can feel a pressure. PV equals nRT. It's not too hot. It's pretty lukewarm. It's room temperature. It's ambient temperature. But again, what is an open system, right? Everything is independent. Nothing is touching, but everything is connected, right? That's another statement of there are no closed systems. What is open and what is closed? Sensorality opens conversation. And again, remember, conversation is a direct iteration of conservation. Sensorality opens conservation. What is spacing to sharing? What is detection to destruction? What is destruction to instruction? What is intonation to detonation? What is sensorality is detonality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is orality tonal? Is vibration tonal? Sensorality is not in the slightest. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, our amalgamation, gaslighting, producing the word slighting. If you diss somebody, you slight them. If you disrespect somebody, you slight them. But then we have, again, this consensus phrasing, because everyone says the same things at different levels of generality and specificity, not in the slightest. Hey Brad, do you like Sean Carroll? Not in the slightest. Why is he not in jail? Hey Brad, do you like being in the state of Ohio? Not in the slightest. I'm the victim of crime. Hey Brad, do you have any expectation that anyone's ever going to pay you or treat you like a human being? Not in the slightest. So again, just connecting our slang, definition, amalgamation, but again, you can't break language. So all of this consistency is because it's natural, and there's no way to break it. So again, this general relativity. I'm Brad, I sit down and try to articulate thoughts. If you genuinely try to do that, you will repeat stuff after about 7 years. Sensorality is slightest. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality, sensors, slight. Direct iteration, again, sleight of hand. Knowledge is power, right? We're talking about power. What's another consensus sentiment presentation? Knowledge is power. But containment, power is an edge. Natural definition. We just continue to progress through our linguistic analysis. Again, no one step is that novel or unique, including the massive proofing sections. It's the overall conceptual progress. The linguistics is genuinely trivial, and my assignment to that is genuinely 100%, which is another aspect, again, of this in my natural capacity, is just when you're presenting information. At no point in time is it normal, right, or is it scientifically accepted to say this is 100% correct. But that's what a proof is, right? And so we're exhausting all of this linguistics. We have the societal aversion to say, I know something definitively. Well, there's always, once you answer one question, there's always some more. It's like, yep, true. But it's like, there is completeness. There is 100% definitive. Speciality is special with an ITY. And we're just developing this linguistic analysis to a statement of that level of directness. But my rights continue to be violated. It is profoundly and extensively illegal. And I did want one little clarification on when I said, again, if you had an encyclopedic polymath, it wouldn't be everything they've read. It would be everything they've ever learned, and they would be able to reference it immediately without any sort of resistance. Again, just to validate the amount of information that's being presented. Because again, I am deriving the novel relationships of the linguistics. And so we're calculating things that truly I don't like conceptually understand until it's like the language has, the letters specifically, not the words, has progressed us to this point. Because again, I just have this overall feeling of chronology, and because we're not really saying a bunch of conceptually different things. Like I said, the most massive step that I'm sure you still don't get is the literal limitation of proliferation. That's what we're doing this whole time. And so, again, continuing to emphasize that my life quality is objectively zero, seeing my parents age every day without any acknowledgement of any life feat, not a college diploma, not a PhD, not any of these prizes or these things that I've clearly I've derived the structure of mathematics multiple times. I've demonstrated the completeness of logical structure in which you could articulate anything, literally. Anything, everything, all of the things. And so I just continue to emphasize that what is being done to me is the most inhumane shit ever. Again, truly, I don't want any of my property to benefit anybody alive anybody older than the age of 12, as long as I'm alive and not recognized. I have as much respect for your life as you have for mine. I do not want my property to be used in the United States at any point in time ever. I don't want the academic community to even be around. You guys are just criminal, fraudulent, and you're not relevant to society. I mean, this overall, we need to have smart people. It's just this like circle jerk and pathetic people trying to feel smart about themselves. And you guys have caused so much death and destruction. It's actually profound. But what happens when a bunch of pathetic people can't take responsibility for their actions? They don't care. Like, they don't even have the emotional maturity to care. It's not that they don't want to, it's they can't. They're literally not mature enough to even process their actions having consequences. And when you run around playing games with science, and it's just, you create this overall persona. All of the people out there that are the little dorky, nerdy, quirky people, and your identity is you're the science guy or the math guy. And again, I went to university. I saw the personalities. It's pathetic as shit. Everyone's this little edgy weirdo. They're still a part of the same society as everybody else. So everybody's competing over nothing, and people just form their identities, whatever makes them feel like them. And all the little nerdy, quirky weirdos, they're going to be the physicists and mathematicians. Just go turn on an Institute for Advanced Study video or a Harvard math faculty video, and it's all these quirky, weirdo goofballs. And it's just like that behavior is 100% the most detrimental thing to the progress of science, proven in history. And so, but again, you guys don't have the maturity to care. And so my life is over. It's been over. No one has ever cared about how profound the crimes are. They continue to be committed against me. I do not have quality of life. I cannot eat properly. I cannot sleep properly. I have no expectation to ever feel safe, which is not a headspace anybody has ever lived in before because of how profound the crime is. And once again, back to your patheticness, this whole time it's just like, again, we're going to call him smart when he's dead, so it doesn't matter. And it's just like I am enduring historically some of the most prolific T-word that's ever occurred in human history. And I just want the people of the future to remember nothing besides how people treated me. Again, this math shit doesn't matter. Fundamental physics has been known for a long time amongst the human species. Just how profound of moral failures all of the people doing this are directly, and all of the people aware of my work are the same level of disgusting criminal fact. To my estate, wipe everybody out legally and lawfully. Again, that's a statement of legal prosecution. Because again, I can't speak freely. I cannot articulate how profound the crimes are because once again, these pathetic people, it's like, again, you can't use H speech. So is H speech saying the H word, like skater, but with an H? Or is it saying I don't like crime really bad, right? Is that H, if I say I H word crime, is that H speech? Is free speech H speech? The letter H is what I'm saying? Because again, I cannot articulate, again, not on camera, not in person. I've never met somebody with the emotional maturity just to be like, hey man, I'm actually the victim of fraud, racketeering, conspiracy being committed by the government. Like actually, literally, for scientific discovery, it's a fact. And just nobody's like, can care. My life continues to be taken from me. Nobody will ever care. I continue to make these videos to document something. I have no expectation they will ever see the light of day because of just how sick and profound of a failure the moral behavior of this species is. Nothing will ever change. I will see my parents age and pass on. I will never have basic quality of life. I will never be able to walk into a grocery store and buy food. I will never have health care. Healthcare is fraudulent anyway. You cannot live in a country that has no merit, that has no values, that has no respect for the law, and everybody is just bottom-feeding hypocrites. And that is literally every single person I have ever met. So again, David Paletta, I met him in college. Hey David, to all of the community out there in the mathematical community, again, you guys are all disgusting, but I met David. I have your banjo right over there, brother. But you're a faculty and you're going to prison. Keep spreading the word. Spread the good word. All criminals will be prosecuted. That is what I have for now. No one cares. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.